Welcome everybody. This is the Remodelers on the Rise show. It's the live podcast. I mean, the other podcasts are cool, but they're via Zoom, and we're just kind of talking into computers. I usually have this ugly kind of fancy little headset going, but today we're in Farmington Hills, Michigan. What's this place called, Aaron? Elevate Sound Studios. We have a professional setup. We got 3 cameras. We got audio. We got these fancy microphones. And I have some wonderful guests here with me, all the way from Plymouth, Michigan. How far is that from here?
12 minutes.
They are so kind. They brought some straight up black coffee. No sugar, no nothing. Just straight up black coffee. Drinking coffee like a real man like me should.
Shout out Meridian Coffee in Plymouth. Great spot.
Yes. Do you put stuff in your coffee?
Nope. Americano. With room,
Ooh,
so I don't
good.
spill it
Yes.
all over my shirt.
That is Michael talking. This is Danielle talking. Gutelli is their last name, and their business is Clark and Aldine.
That's right.
That was the hardest part of my whole interview here. Now
You did
I
it.
can just relax.
It's easy street.
Nailed it.
Thank you for having us. We're
Yes,
excited.
I'm glad you're here. So the way that we connected, you mentioned kind of through social media, through Instagram, and then it was a couple months ago. I made my way over to your guys' showroom, and we just got to know each other a little bit. And I thought, it would be wonderful to have you guys on for multiple reasons. One, I think it's super interesting on the podcast to just hear the story of your business. How did you guys get started? I want to talk about hard lessons learned. I want to talk about things that you guys have implemented that have really helped you. And then what I also thought was super interesting is, one, a husband-wife team. It's easy, isn't it, to work together? Danielle?
So easy.
So easy. It's just like you wake up and it's just like it's always harmonious and you guys are always on the same page, I'm sure. So there's a lot of husband and wives who listen to this and that are remodelers. So I want to talk a little bit about that. And then also a little bit about your guys' background. I think there's a little bit of teaching, and I think the people listening to this will go, man, I have not really thought about branding my business. I have not really thought about and being really thoughtful with storytelling in my business, and your background kind of lends itself to that. So that's what's on tap.
Love it.
And
See, I didn't even need to read the email.
yeah, I mean, we walked in, Michael's like, yeah, I glanced at your email. Danielle's like, I didn't open it. And I'm like, all right. What if I ask? I'm going to ask a couple hard questions, though.
I'm here for it.
We get hard questions every day.
Yeah, in the PS of that email, did you see the PS?
No, because I didn't open it.
Oh, you're in for it. You should have
Honesty.
prepped. I didn't have a PS in there. Did you say honesty?
Yeah. And transparency.
Tell me about that.
Got to be honest in life, man.
But what about little white lies? Like, remodeling, tell me, huh?
I'm not really good at that. Michael will tell you.
Yeah, so
Hang on. Let me go little white lies for a second. If you were to say, hey, Kyle, what have you learned over the last 20 years, whether in marriage or whatnot? I remember coming up shortly after I started my business. It was before I decided I'm just working with remodelers. It was a transmission shop. It was like, hey, I'm a young whippersnapper. I do marketing help. And I was working for that. And I came upstairs because I was working in the basement when I started my business. And I was going to my wife, Sarah. I said, I don't know. I have this meeting in an hour. I haven't even started on the website updates and this and that. I think I'm going to tell them that I'm mostly done, but I just need a couple more days. And she looked me square in the eyes and she said, I got an idea. How about you just flat out tell them the truth? You haven't started. And it was one of those things where it's like, I just wanted to kind of tell them something to make it sound good. And that has stuck with me so well. And I think it's something in business. It's so easy to say, yeah, I've kind of worked on that. But just being straight up honest, isn't it so much more freeing? You don't have to remember anything, Danielle.
Yep.
Right? So that's my 2 cents on that. Yep. So give us a little bit of your background. Tell us kind of your background and how did you end up in this design build remodeling business?
So I started in the construction field when I was 14 as a laborer, working for a custom home builder in St. Louis, transitioned into the trades program at my local high school. I got into it early. They really only opened it up to seniors, but a significant life change allowed me to get in my junior year.
Okay.
And that really paved the way for the next 5 years of my life. So I did not go to college right away outside of high school. I graduated making more money than I knew what to do with, had all the toys, had all the fun. And at 18, I thought I was balling, right? I guess at the time I was.
You say ballin'. Is that Ballin?
That's correct.
Okay.
That's how you spell
got you.
it. But once I hit my 20s in St. Louis, the market for that builder had dwindled down a little bit. I was thinking future-wise, I think it's time I want to get a degree and go to college. and I moved to Chicago, and I went to school initially for graphic design. My dad is a photographer, sports photographer. When things moved from analog to digital, I helped him learn Photoshop and how to download photos on a computer. We both got the matching laptops, and that really got me interested in graphic design. I'd always been interested in art. Art class was my favorite growing up. So whether drawing, painting, I was always involved in it. So moving that to the digital space. But I quickly realized in my first year of college, like, this isn't what I want to do. And I sat in on a copywriting class with a friend. Fell in love with the storytelling aspect of copywriting in advertising, and switched my major to marketing communications with a focus in advertising. And as soon as I graduated, went into the advertising field for 12 years, worked with some major brands, major talent, really helped provide and kind of build our life together. And we moved to Michigan after our first son was a year old, and she kind of switched gears from what she was doing, which is
he just so smoothly handed that off
Handed
to
it
you.
over.
well, it goes together. It's a perfect time to.
I was curious how he was gonna
It was smooth.
transition
Yeah.
the story.
It wasn't surprising that it was that smooth, though. Did you see how smooth your husband was there?
Well, I know you should just wait. He'll have some solid one-liners
All right.
for you
I don't know
later.
if they'll come on this later.
So my career path is also started off different than where I'm at right now. I grew up here in Michigan, went to Michigan State, and got my degree in education.
You not only went to Michigan State, you played soccer at Michigan State.
I did.
kind of a big deal.
Oh, that is a big deal.
And then I stopped playing soccer and was in the sorority. That seemed like more fun at the time. You got to go to tailgates.
okay.
So you didn't get to do that in soccer seasons. So then I moved to Chicago. I got my first first teaching job there. I taught in Highland Park, which is just north of the city.
Yep.
I taught second grade there for 10 years, had a little one, and then Michael had this crazy idea of moving back to Michigan. I basically told him in some very choice words that was a crazy idea. We then experienced a shooting in our alley because we lived in Uptown at the time, which in Chicago,
Up and coming.
neighborhood,
Still, okay.
which basically means that it's still like hood and not really very nice.
The interesting thing about Uptown, like, we always felt safe there. We really did. And we had, if anybody's watched any good shows that are urban, we had corner boys. That's what they're referred to as. And they basically run the block.
Oh.
Drug sales, all that. She would go outside at night and walk our dog. Like, if I was working late or whatnot, and I knew that she would always be protected.
Because of the corner boys?
100%.
I have a bingo card of different words and stuff on here. I did not have corner boys running the street on my bingo card today.
Well, it's the
Who'da
truth.
thought?
That area was pretty heavily. It was safe. A lot of families were in the area, but there was also subsidized housing on those streets of the
One
of the
next door
neighborhood
to
we
us
were
and
in.
one across the street from us.
Yep.
So that incident plus a new baby
Yep.
kind
Yeah.
of was like, is
Maybe
this where...
maybe it's time to make the move.
Yeah.
So Michael looked for a job here in Michigan and got it like right away. And he moved to Michigan, and I was still in Illinois with our oldest, and my mom was babysitting at the time, so she moved into our condo, and Michael moved into my parents' house, and we did that for 7 months.
Mm-hmm.
I finished teaching and then moved here to Michigan, and then Michael was like, "Why don't you start that blog you always wanted to do?" So off I went, writing a blog, and I wrote about things I knew. So it was called Mom, Wife, Foodie at the time, and I wrote about being a mom, being a wife, being a foodie.
And what was your publishing strategy on that?
Every Monday, I wrote about mom content. On
Wow.
Wednesday, I wrote about wife content, and on Friday,
Foodie.
yes,
Came
There's-
up with that strategy for
Yes.
the
I could
teacher in
tell
me
you're
too
proud.
just really loved.
You talked about your kids earlier, and you were like, "Yeah, my kids." Then you're like, "But this strategy. Listen
Yes.
to this strategy. You lit up like a Christmas tree."
That's right.
Interesting.
So, yeah, I did that. We started this blog. Well, I started this blog, and for the first 2 years, I think it was just Michael, my mom, maybe some friends. And then through Instagram, I met some other female bloggers and they were like, come to this conference. I went down to this conference in Florida and I got there and I'm like, who are these people? What am I doing here? Like, if this is the audience I'm writing to, I am writing to the completely wrong audience. Like, mom bloggers is not my audience. And I sat in on a couple different presentations, and there I learned about analytics, and I like came home like so excited. I was like, do we have analytics? And he's like, D, everybody that has a website has analytics. And I was like,
right.
really? Can we look into here? I've been blogging for 2 years, didn't even know that I should be looking at my analytics. And I was like, they say if all your traffic's going to one post, you need to change what you're doing. I'm like, can we look at that? And so we looked back at the content, and there was one blog post that 98% of our traffic was going to. It was about a remodel that we did on our primary bedroom. And
I see where this is going.
kind of like got this idea of like, well, maybe we should do some more home content. And then Michael was like, well, if we're going to do that, then maybe we should rebrand, because it's kind of weird if I'm going to write on a website called Mom Wife Foodie.
Yep.
And then I had this like new identity crisis, because now I was no longer a teacher and now I was no longer Mom Wife Foodie. Like, what was I going to be? I guess I was going to be Danielle. That's what I was going to be. So
on a Saturday afternoon, we just decided Enzo was napping. I think Ziggy was already born at this time, or not yet. Yeah, he was born at this time, so they were both down. And she said, let's work on this. No problem. Go into the home office, start working. And I said, do you have any ideas about this brand, what you want it to be called? And she said, it has to be something and something. It means nothing to anyone else and is a good story, but to us it means everything. So we started noodling around with some names, and with the preference of and being in the middle. So we had to have two other words. And I don't remember which of us came up with the Clark and Aldine part.
you.
Oh, well then there you go. So when
He
we met,
he was looking for that.
He
cue
knew.
off.
Oh, me.
when we met in Chicago, I lived on South Clark Street. She lived on Aldine Street. Clark goes diagonal through the city from the south side to the north side. Where the intersection of Clark and Aldine is, it's Aldine on the east side, but it's school on the west side.
Oh, I see what's going on.
So those streets technically do not intersect, but that's where our paths intersected. So if you look, anybody who looks at our branding, our logo treatment is angled to represent the intersection of street signs. That was kind of the thought process behind the design there.
So take me a step further. So that's a lot of the backstory,
Yep.
and there's some seeds planted, from the high school and from working in the trades, and then all of a sudden, isn't it interesting? Also, you're doing something, and then you go to one conference and you hear one little thing. You look at one little thing, and then that sparks
Yep.
something else. That's what's so exciting about entrepreneurship.
Yep.
And then from there, you started doing more and more blogging related to home-related things.
That's all we
And then
blog about.
and then what? And then how did the actual business kind of get kicked off?
So that started the summer of 2017 that we had switched. And by, probably before summer of 2018, a lot of locals started asking, like, hey, have you guys ever thought about doing this to other people's homes? And seeing what we were doing in our home. And so Michael was like, maybe I should go get my builder's license here. I was like, that sounds like a good idea.
Going from a career in marketing and branding and advertising and going
Back
maybe
to construction.
Interesting.
Well, and like, mind you, Michael has always had that entrepreneur mentality. When early in our relationship, he actually left the corporate world and started his own marketing.
Me and Corey.
And he did that, his own marketing, what do I want to call it? Firm of two.
Marketing agency, yep.
Of two.
A duo.
It was an agency.
Agency, sorry. And he did that for a while.
Yeah, 2-3 years.
And then went back to corporate when we realized that wasn't panning out the way that he had planned. And so it was something that I always knew. Like, that was what he was going to do. He was going to work for himself. And then as we started exploring life as a family and grew together, we realized that we wanted to work together. And so Michael and I had dabbled in lots of things before we tried to be what we are today, I guess.
We did social media and website development for different companies, mostly restaurants, because coming from the, mom, my foodie side, we both love food.
And we could take really good photos of
And that's a big thing in Chicago too. Why moving to Michigan, like we lived with her family for about a year, because you accumulate a lot of debt, especially when
In
you're early
Chicago,
in your
yeah.
career and you live in the city, and then you decide to get married and have a
What's that
child.
sneaker issue you have?
A little bit. We love food. And basically, in Chicago, we spent all of our money on
Food.
necessities and then food. And we still do love food. Nowadays, we just cook a lot more at home. We're more conscious. But we did social media, content development, website development for restaurants in Detroit and out in our area. Then that transferred into
family
photography, because we were always shooting the kids in the house. And it just got to the point where doing it for other people wasn't really fulfilling. Having clients is great, but we wanted to build something that was ours. And that's when we decided.
Clark and Aldine started up. Cool.
Clark and Aldine
So that's the
started.
full backstory.
Yep.
Tuck in the back of your head, you've talked several times about kind of the branding, even to the point where if you look at our logo, it's angled. So later, I'm going to say, all right, top 5 branding tips for remodelers. What comes to your mind for that? So we'll go there. But let's talk about, so you got the business up and going, super unique backstory, weird backstory as far as our industry goes. You got it up and going. And kind of walk us through, what would you say are some of the bigger kind of first big steps to learning to, when we figured out this, that really propelled us forward. When we figured out that really propelled us forward. Talk about that related to your business. And maybe also where it's, excuse me. Audio guy, what are you going to do with that little frog in my throat? There we go. Now it's clear.
Gone.
Now it's clear. Aaron, I like to talk to the people off. I don't want you to edit it out. I like to talk to people off camera sometimes. Anything you're concerned about with that frog? You're going to make it sound beautiful?
The frog is going to sing.
Oh, the frog is going to sing, he says. Oh, I like that. Keep that in there. So, one, tell us where the business currently is, and then kind of rewind the clock of, all right, we started this thing up. When we did this, that really propelled. When we did that really propelled. Talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, we've been through a lot of change. We're in our 7th year of business full time. A lot of change. I think right now.
Don't you want to tell them where we are right now?
Yeah, where we are right now. I mean, we're a team of 3 right now. We went from self-performing everything to mostly subbing everything out. So Clark and Aldine prides itself on project management, general contracting, and design. We're one of the only design builds that we know around that actually has full interior design services in-house. Not interior design that just cabinet colors, finishes. We source all furnishings, furniture, everything that's going to leave the home if the client moves. We source all of that. We source it, we purchase it, we warehouse it, we deliver it, we install it. Not a lot of companies do that. So it is a differentiator, and I think that we've learned too. It's also a confusing aspect of our business, and we put a lot of work and have a lot of things coming out to help educate potential clients on what our services truly are.
Yeah.
And
Do you think that's been a big differentiator to be able to offer that full interior design aspect?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Talk about that a little bit more. Because there's remodelers listening to this going, well, that's not my necessary cup of tea. Well, we do the design work. We help with the selections. Obviously, we do the build part. But the softer stuff, but it can really elevate a project quite a bit. And even if you don't do it in-house, which is an advantage you guys have, finding resources similar to a lot of remodelers listening to this where, well, we've got a designer, we've got a kitchen designer. Talk about kind of what that has helped you deliver for your clients.
Well, the beautiful aspect of it is that you're literally leaving with a finished product.
Yeah.
It's not like you're leaving with all these loose ends
Yeah.
of, okay, well, I have this house, but now there's nothing in it. It doesn't feel like home. And so one of the things that we time and time again get from clients is like how much they love the way their kitchen looks. And I'm like, oh, just wait. When we come back and we style it for a photo shoot, you're going to love it so much more. And so by coming back in and just doing that last little bit, it takes it from a house to a home. Like it feels lived
So what,
in.
like, we're talking, depending on where it's at, we're talking what we're putting out, we're talking pillows, we're talking
everything.
Cutting boards, we're talking things that you might set if it's a kitchen remodel, for example. We're talking about like we're coming back in and we're helping with what you're going to put on your counters and what towels maybe you're going to leave out,
yes.
what your window treatments are going to be.
'Cause don't you hate it when you remodel a beautiful project and then they kind of trash it up by putting the wrong towels and other stuff in there? We don't want that. That doesn't happen at Clark and Aldine. The other thing I would say is in one of my peer groups, remodeler in Florida was looking at this remodeler in Massachusetts finished projects and going, man, your finished projects just look better than ours. And the secret sauce was
Your
having
style.
some interior design and some style at the end of it. So for remodelers listening to this, who I'm looking at my camera, consider this. What does this look like for you to maybe take a step in that direction?
And the big piece, and we'll get to it like some of our tips, but this is a huge tip. First off, document every space. Before you do demo, every day, document it. From a legal perspective, it's good to have in your back pocket. But the big thing is when your product is finished, hire a professional stylist and photographer. If you don't have a stylist in-house, find one and hire them. And do professional
Did you just look at your camera over
Look
there?
at the camera
I
so
wonder
they
if
can
Sam,
see
I
it.
wonder if Sam's going to edit that so that you're looking deeply into their eyes when you say
I am.
that
I mean,
tip.
we work so damn hard on these projects, and we know that they look beautiful. Every remodeler out there, every builder out there has so much pride in what they do. These iPhones are great. We have supercomputers in our pocket. It's amazing, but it's not a professional photo shoot. You can find a great local photographer, reasonably priced, and if you're really smart about it and you work with them before you even you start on the project, before you even flip the bid over, build that cost into your overhead.
Okay.
It's a project cost.
Yep.
Right? And even if not, use your marketing dollars for it.
Now that we got the backstory, I'm starting to settle. You know, it's kind of intimidating coming into a fancy space like this. I'm starting to feel a little, had that frog in my throat. I got that through. So we're gonna rapid fire a little bit here. We're gonna get back to some of the tips.
Let's go.
Some of those tips, but I want to actually go to the branding real quick. Let's just check that box off.
Okay.
Check it.
So you just gave one of them. Don't mess around with your finished those finished project photos. Well, I've got my friend who can take those.
Absolutely not.
No.
Ooh, okay. So give us your top. You want your top 4? Or you want your top 5?
Top 5.
Top
Everything
5 branding tips for remodelers.
Don't worry about getting it right the first time. Oh, and I'm guilty of this too, and she'll admit it. I'm a perfectionist. I want it right the first time. Just put something on paper, get it together, and evolve. That's part of the storytelling. What we call our OG logo, we don't really use it anymore. We still have it, but we have evolved 3 steps from that now. So just do it and get it out there, and then build the storytelling on top of that.
It being what? The look, the feel,
Your logo, your colors, your brand style guide. That would be number 2. Develop a brand style guide. Whether you hire a local graphic designer, you hire somebody who's very proficient in brand building, have a style guide. Your style guide is your logo treatment, the colors that you're going to use, where you use those colors. How are you going to bring the logo treatment onto your truck, your trailer, your letterhead? There's a lot of packages online that you can find that are templates that are pretty easy to plug and play. But get a brand style guide together, knowing that as you evolve as a company, your logo is going to be requested in numerous different places. How are you going to use it?
So pause there. Branding tips. Number 1 was just get started. Doesn't have to be perfect. Number 2 was think about this brand style guide. I can hear what's going on in remodelers' brains right now and heads right now of going, dude, we're remodelers. Does that really matter that much?
Of course it does. You're selling a product. You're selling a service.
You're looking for recognition, right? So you want brand recognition. You want people to know who you are. And if you're not consistent and you don't have those brand recognition aspects to your brand, then you're just going to fall under like whoever that is.
Yeah.
People are just going to drive by you.
Yeah,
Drive by your sign.
when you think about all the different elements that make up your brand, your logo, your trucks, your apparel,
Yes.
Your business card, the voicemail on your phone, all these different things,
Everything.
they're either supporting your overall brand,
Or they're
either
hurting you.
new. Hang on, I got 3. Excuse me, branding expert. Let me pontificate over here on my expertise on this. That tease might be hard for my
I like
audio
that.
guy. How you doing, Aaron? Might get my money's worth on this editing. Oh, that's brutal. So either supporting oh man, that's the feel. Neutral, it's like, it's not helping, or it's disruptive.
Yes.
Like if I go to your website and, okay, your truck looks great, professional, it has that look and feel, and I go to your website and it looks like it was done by your cousin who's kind of just on Wix.com, that's not going to get the job done. So you're really emphasizing, I think, especially if you're a remodeler listening, that almost hurt my neck.
Love that twitch over.
If you're a remodeler listening, the idea of, if you're catering towards the top 20% of clients out there, we need to look professional. You guys have seen it. When you go to other remodelers' websites, or if you go to clarkandaldine.com, and you look at it, it has a certain feel to it, let alone you start to read the verbiage, and it's not just packed in with keywords to get SEO going. It's telling a story. It's telling a story. So take your brand and your feel. If you would have asked me 6-7 years ago, Kyle, how important is branding? Like, it's my yard signs and this and that. I'd have been like, yeah, it's important. I've seen it more and more. Like you're kind of preaching here, is like, it is a huge component to how people view you. So, all right. So those are 2 tips. Keep going.
I feel like you literally just segued into what I think number 3 is, which is storytelling. And I think that...
Well, I had told you in the email that I sent that I was going to segue to number 3 that you didn't read. But look at us go. Look at us go.
Our energy is just matching over here. So storytelling, I think, is just such an essential part of any brand, but really within the remodeling industry, because you're making those storytell connections to your next client. You are taking them through the process. You're making it easier for yourself down the line if they are coming along with you on that journey.
So what's an element of what's an example of storytelling in...
So for us, any project that we do, we have multiple ways that we're going to storytell it for our audience or for our potential new client. So obviously, social media is a huge aspect for our brand. That's where it's like been the bread and butter, I think, because we came from a blog world first. It's really natural to us. So storytelling through Instagram stories, easy. Like introduce the project, showcase it before we start, showcase then each little process through it. But then to take it a level further, we like to blog about it. So there's always an intro to, here's the project that we're going to do. Here are all the ugly befores. And here is the directional of where we're going. So then the second post could be, here's all the design. Here's everything that we're going to do. And then the last post is the reveal.
Telling the story. Yeah.
And so
do you guys name your projects?
We do.
What's an example?
What's
an example of that?
So all of our projects are then named after street names. See that tie back in?
Yes.
Something and something.
So it'll be something and something. Typically, it's the street they live on or like a street crossing, depending on like if we have an NDA client and doesn't want you to know. And then a street that is sentimental to our clients.
So you ask them.
Yeah. So we have a whole blog post telling how we name it. And then our clients, it's cool because depending on how long they've been with us on the storytelling journey, some of them already know what they're naming their project. They're
a lot of our clients are
my project is blah, blah, blah. They already know it. And then we have other clients that are like, oh, that's really cool.
Partially because they've seen how you've done it with other projects, because most of your clients have been following you on social media. Hey, we're at the blank and blank project. So storytelling, it's an area I think for a lot of people listening that's very foreign, that is just not naturally coming to them.
I think it's foreign, but I think the more that you think about it and you just put that lens on in your day-to-day, we as remodelers and builders, we're storytelling with what we do anyway. So it's just putting it on camera. It's capturing it visually, right? The next piece that I think is we're going
to number 4.
Number 4.
Hang on, pause there for a second. So related to the storytelling, I think the other thing I would add to that is you're a remodeler in 2025, and they should, as a result of this, like go and follow Clark and Aldine on here, and
we'll follow you back.
And they'll follow you back. They might even.
Wow. Yeah. Michael just like really committed to that.
I know, and I have there's a million.
And just so you know, Michael doesn't even run.
Nope.
There's like a million remodelers listening to this too. You're gonna be overrun with likes. But if you start following that, all remodelers in 2025, it's going to be more important in 2026. It's going to be more important in 2029. You just need to document the process.
Yes.
Tell people about what's going on. Tell people why you chose this design, because all of the prospects, all of the prospective clients who may have reached out to you because Mrs. Smith referred them, may have reached out to you because they saw the professional yard sign, may have reached out to you. They're going to start following you there, and marketing is all about building know, like, and trust. And that's what these stories can do. We are we are wired as humans to resonate with stories.
Yep.
And facts tell, stories sell. There's all kinds of examples of that. We need to be better storytellers. That was number 3. Number 4.
Create an experience. That's, as Danielle highlighted, some of our clients come to us and they already know. They're really, really excited to name their project. When we tell them about our pre-construction process, like having a trades day is like a big deal to them. It's when everybody comes out and they're going to look at the project and start doing their measurements, asking questions, coming up with solutions, and giving the numbers to us, right? So for us, it is our pre-sale that is we really kick off the experience with, and letting them know from now until we get to demo day, here is everything that's going to happen. So we're delivering on a platter the experience. Where you're not just calling us to say, hey, I want to get this kitchen remodel done. Okay, here's what it's going to cost you. We can start in a month. Here's my deposit.
Yep.
The days of that, just at least for us, as we looked at our financials and we looked at the success and then the failures of the company, that pre-sale experience is key. But then it's carrying that experience through the project. So it is our weekly check-ins. We do daily logs on our project management software. So whether you're using Buildertrend or JobTread or Procore, whatever it is, that's a big thing too. It's a CYA, cover your ass. It from a perspective.
Oh man, is this podcast going to be explicit now?
Oh man.
Oh,
It's 2025. It's fine.
Oh.
But from a legal perspective, it's great to have all that documentation because you never know what's going to happen down the road.
Yep.
Maybe it's something it's not a failure of the work, but it just happens. You have everything in your back pocket documented. It's great. It's also great to go back to those things as maybe you missed a step on the estimate and you lost. Maybe you go back and document and be like, oh, we need to charge for that.
Yep.
But also it's allowing, if you open it to your clients to be able to see those daily logs, it lets them know that work's being done. It eliminates follow-up questions. It eliminates the emails and the extra work that your team has to put in, which again, that's scope creep on the hours that you may not charge for.
Yep.
And then at the end, it is the reveal of the finished space. It is the photo shoot. It's the styling. When we do the styling, we leave everything there for like a week. 9 times out of 10 clients purchase those things. So again, it's an extra revenue driver. So really bringing the experience and keeping the experience to the end is huge.
Yeah. If we were to have 100 remodelers standing here and we said, what is your main goal in your business? We'd start talking about, to make clients happy, to provide a good living there's a lot of answers, but one of those answers of to give a wonderful experience to our clients.
Yep.
If that is one of your top items, there's a lot of good things that will come from that. So when you talk about branding and you're saying focus on the experience, 5 powerful words, this is how we work.
Yep.
Very clearly, step by step. And if you're kind of doing that, remodeler, double and triple down on that. We need to, what do I even create in my story? Just talk about the steps. We're here at a trade day. It's just teaching them all of this effort that goes in before a hammer ever hits the job site is the whole key to giving you a wonderful experience. So
100%.
Just continuing to lean into that. And it was interesting how you couched it, where you were like, you know what, we realized as we looked at our financials, as we looked at next steps we needed to take over the last few years in our business, we realized we needed to do a lot more in pre-construction because if we show up and say this is going to happen and sign here and deposit, we look the same, talk the same, and act the same as all of our competitors.
Yep.
And when we look, talk, and act the same as everybody else, you're competing on price. And price is a terrible place to compete. There's always someone willing to go out of business sooner than you.
Correct.
Facts.
Meaning you can't cut your prices. So if I'm going to charge what I need to charge at the margins I need to charge, I need to differentiate.
Correct.
And that experience and that pre-planning, and that's been huge for you guys, and it's been a big growth area.
True.
So,
And going back to one of the first things I said as we started recording was the honesty.
what, your love of sneakers?
Yes. Honesty.
How much you love your wife?
Yes. Honesty and transparency, right?
What, the corner boys keeping your wife safe on
Keeping her-
the
keeping
mean
her
streets
safe
of
when I'm working.
Chicago?
Transparency.
Oh, transparency.
And for us, it's kind of a double-edged sword. When we do get leads and we talk to prospect clients, we're very transparent off the cuff. And that means that, 50% of leads, maybe it's less, maybe it's more, we'll just say 50,
Wait, is that your
50.
styling over there? You think that looks good on camera to put that up there next to that plant? Are we styling this studio?
Well, it's better than me
Oh,
right
that's true.
there
Okay.
for my foot.
When we get a lead in, we'll follow up. We'll do a phone call initially, and we'll talk through the project, what their budget is. And yeah, we still do get, and as everybody does, they get leads that aren't really
Yep.
prepared for the actualities of what things cost.
Yep.
They want to do a full kitchen remodel, take down a load-bearing wall, put in a header. While we're at it, redo all the floors, and I think we'll do our powder room too. Well, do you have a budget in mind? Well, we were thinking like 50,000. We're like, well, and we're transparent about, we're looking at, between 300 and 400 a square foot. It could go up from there, but it's not going to go down.
Mm-hmm.
And we are transparent about it. And then we go through our client experience, what our pre-sale is, and that clients either love it or they hate it and we don't get a call back. But at least at the end of the day, somebody can say that we're transparent, we were kind, we educated them. Yep. Whether or not we're the right fit for them or not doesn't matter. It's about the experience from the initial phone call on to hopefully us finishing your project.
Yep.
The last thing we want to do is say, yeah, no problem. And then they get hit with $100,000 in change orders, because the other thing is,
talk about a great client experience.
Yeah, and it happens a lot.
Yep.
The other thing is, and I think a lot of builders and remodelers will resonate with this, we also live in a world of reviews.
Mm-hmm.
The client experience, the new referral is the Google review. And I think...
Say that one again. Look in the camera
new
when you say that one.
referral is the Google review. And it either benefits us or it can crush us.
Yep.
I think one of the best things that ever happened to us in our business is getting a scathing Google review, and hated it at the time.
Mm-hmm.
The more I look back at it now, it humanizes us. We messed up. It was at a point in our business where we thought we grew quickly and we thought we were doing it the right way, and we weren't. We've since fixed all of that. And it's a reminder that if we don't keep moving, if we don't keep pushing, if we don't keep fighting to move forward and build a strong legacy company, we'll be right back there with that 1 star.
Yeah, that's good. This podcast is going just wonderfully.
Good.
I don't care if Michael thinks it. Danielle, do you like it? Is
love
it going?
it.
Are you comfortable? Everything good?
I am so comfortable.
Right. So we've told kind of your backstory and all of that.
We never got to number 5 yet.
Hey, I'm running the show over here. Well, you think I don't know that? This is called I'm professionally podcasting over here. Watch this. So we've told the story. What I've loved about as we've gone through the 4 so far, there might even be a +1 at the end. We might be doing 6. Who knows?
Well,
Who knows?
I'm taking 5, so if Michael has a 6, then he has
Okay,
to.
good enough.
Then he has to add it.
But what I've liked about us covering that is I'm happy because if I'm a remodeler listening to this, we've given them a lot of things to think about. There's a lot of remodelers who are like, yeah, I've kind of thought about that. Oh, that makes more sense. That I could take that up another level or 2.
Mm-hmm.
Let alone they start kind of seeing the example of following your website and seeing it. So it's going wonderfully. We're going to hit on number 5, and then we're going to talk a little bit about what's wonderful about working as a husband and wife, and then here's something that for husbands and wives listening, here's what one hard-earned lesson we've learned, and then I've got a couple other things for us.
Great.
Sounds great.
Video guy, you happy? Sound guy, you happy? All right, it's wonderful Friday morning over here.
Love
Look
it.
at that.
Cool. So number 5, Danielle has tip number 5 when it comes to branding.
I think number 5 needs to be authenticity.
Mm.
And the reason being is that if you can't stay authentic to who you are, then you're losing your brand in its entirety. That's right. And so a lot of that, I think your whole brand falls back on that authenticity part, from storytelling to what your brand represents.
Yeah.
And a lot of people will say to us like, oh, but you guys are so, so good at being on camera. You just know what you're doing. And I'm like, no, you guys, it didn't. Like, nobody wakes up one day and you're like, you know what? I'm so good at talking to my phone.
Yeah.
Let me show you. Like, that doesn't happen.
Well, Ziggy did. He was talking to his iPad.
Yeah.
Maybe our kids' generations do that. But, like, our generation and older, it's not like that's a natural thing to do, to wake up and be like, I'm going to talk to my phone today. And so what I have found for us, and this came from Michael when early on and when I started blogging, and storytelling was a big thing for us, and Reels and Instagram stories came out. He's like, you just need to talk to the camera. I was like, what? All right. So I just started talking to the camera, and I would catch myself re-recording at like 50, because that time you could only do 15 seconds. So I re-record a 15-second thing like 5 times.
Or 15 times.
Yeah. And I was
Yeah.
like, this is such a waste of time because I said this wrong or I did this. And I realized really quickly if I just stay authentic to who I am and I slur my words or I mispronounce something, I'm just like, whatever, let's try that again. And I just keep recording.
You're not slurring because you're like tipsy when you're doing this.
No, just because I talk really fast.
Oh,
My
just
brain's
have,
like,
I see. Yeah, yeah. Okay.
no drinking over here.
Nope.
Sober lifestyle.
But I love that tip of being authentic.
Yes.
I just kind of big doings yesterday at Remodelers on the Rise. One of our a new peer group started, kind of 10 remodelers from around the country, and I am not running it.
That
gives
has
me
to
the-
feel scary.
It is scary. It is scary. It's
growth.
It is growth.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
That's awesome.
Hey, this isn't about me. This is about you. And a gentleman named Peter Rainey, Rainey Blair Weidman. He's down in Atlanta. He's running it for me. And Peter's personality is different than mine. He's not as funny. He's not as handsome.
Yeah, I was going to say, definitely not as good looking.
He's not as whimsical and all that, but he's also stinking smarter than me in so many different ways. And I've kind of been learning that of going, just because I've run it this way doesn't necessarily mean that it can't be run a certain way that's going to be his authentic to him. So it's been something I've been thinking a lot about. And for modelers listening to this, if they don't have a bubbly person, like your personality on the reels, I knew who I was going to meet when I saw you guys a couple months ago, because I'm like, no, they're just being themselves. I can tell. And for a lot of remodelers out there, so your buddy Steve, is your buddy Steve the same tone as you?
Yes.
Huh?
No.
Right? Right?
Steve is awesome. Shout out Steve
Shout out
Tankersley.
Steve. Right, but his approach and his brand is
He's
going to be
very business, but he's also hilarious.
Yes. So he's a guest. I think that's how we may have gotten connected a little bit.
Yep.
But that's just an example. Like Peter and Kyle, we're going to have different styles.
Yep.
Steve and you guys going to have different styles. So that being authentic, and also what you said of, if you are a remodeling business owner and you're still going, I don't know how to do those videos, or I've tried to do that, we have got to start practicing.
Yeah.
Get your reps in. I mean, for me, I remember when I started my business, I had my 10 tips to marketing success. I was in front of the Livingston County Home Builders Association, shaking like a leaf. And it's just through reps, through practice. As a business owner, we need to lean into that. I love that authenticity.
Well, and then what Michael was saying, and you were saying earlier about like just setting yourself apart. The reality is that if you're staying authentic to yourself, you're staying true to who your brand is, that's how you are setting yourself apart. Because again, like you were saying, you don't want to go back to pricing being the way that you are structured. And so we say a lot in our pre-construction with clients, or if we're in a bidding situation where they're vetting other, I always say, like, listen, it's a matter of who you want to have a relationship with for this remodel. Like, we're all probably going to get to the same price at some point in time. It's just a matter of like, who do you want to build that relationship with?
Yep.
And what are you looking for within that team?
That's good. So then she took number 5. Did you have another one that was floating around in that?
Oh, a +1.
I do. Well, I'm
5
kind of
+1
tying it
tips.
up. But first, really quick, going back to the reps. Anyone here who's listened to your podcast, maybe this is their first time, go back to episode 1 and then listen to this podcast. I guarantee you're more polished now than you were when you first started.
Perhaps.
You just got so nervous.
That's just the
I'm
reality.
like,
That's just the reality. Look at as a remodeler or builder, look at your first project that you completed.
That's a great
And then
example.
look at your projects now.
Yeah.
Do you see the evolution? If you don't, then it's probably something you want to
that's a
take a
problem.
look at. But look at your first project versus now. Look at your pricing then versus now. Look at your life then versus now. Things evolve.
Yeah.
And take the step. And then you'll be able to look back in a year and be like, wow, I did that. I'm so much more polished now. How I want to wrap this up is, our industry has experienced year over year decline for more than a decade. Trade professionals, builders in general, it's really, if you track it back when the high schools got rid of the trade programs, that's when it started declining. There was an article about a week and a half ago in the Wall Street Journal about Gen Z going back into the trades. So think about that for a second. We're so used to now, we basically can choose our projects for the most part. There's a lot more need than there is those who can deliver on that need. That's not always going to be true. And Gen Z grew up with digital life. They grew up with a phone. These people don't have hard lines in their house. They never did dial up. These kids, they're coming into this. That's all that they know.
Wait, are you old enough to remember hearing the dial-up noise?
Oh yeah, I had a rotary phone in my house. So if you
I did
start
not have
now,
a rotary phone.
if you're not there and you start now, you're going to get ahead of the curve, because in 5 years, if you're not building your brand, if you're not storytelling, the Gen Zs are going to come in and they're going to
Natural
take
for
it.
them.
They're going to snatch it.
And your clients in the coming decade
Yeah.
are more and more and more used to that.
Correct.
What kind of company is this? They don't have a web presence hardly. They don't have this.
I mean, think
Well,
if you're a contractor and you're still handwriting estimates. Like, I get it if you're a window cleaning service or if you're cutting lawns, like, sure, I get that. But this is the digital age, and we want everything trackable. We want everything in email. We want everything on a project management software. You got to keep track of everything and just evolve with the space.
And I would say, as Michael's saying that about just the digital space in general, is that we've had a lot of pushback with remodelers or people in the construction industry of the social aspect of it, of the digital aspect, and saying, well, word of mouth is always going to be the strongest. It's always. And I don't disagree with that statement, but what I do disagree with is the fact that the word of mouth is changing.
Yes.
Now. So whether it is somebody told you about Clark and Aldine, right? And you're like, oh, this is great. Where's the first place you go and look them up? On Instagram. What do? You search through, you look at their full profile, which is now a representation of them. Then you're like, I like this enough. Maybe I'll click on their website. That is the natural way that we are seeing people evolve. And so when we have joined these remodeler groups and things like that, and I tell them that most of our leads come through Instagram, they're like, you're doing something wrong. You're doing something wrong. It should be coming from word of mouth, or it should be coming from referrals. And
it is.
And it is, but it's coming the way that it is coming now, isn't it?
It's
People
through
are
a Facebook message. Yeah.
And but they're going
Or
still
Instagram
through
message,
they're still going through the site, but then when they're saying, how did they come from us? They're not saying referral, they're saying Instagram, because whether a referral told them and then they hung out with us for a while.
Yeah.
That's how they're now realizing, and you have that commitment of that already helps you with the sales.
Love it. So we're in the final 5% of our podcast.
Whoop, whoop.
Oh, that was nice. We were talking about singing earlier. I just heard that beautiful singing voice. I think you got something there. We'll see. My wife's a choir director. She might recruit you. Who knows? But we're in the final 5%. Now, just as a side note, if you're a remodeler, the final 5% of your project, oh baby, talk about the client experience. Yeah. Oh, we did such a good job with the pre-design work. We got through the whole thing. That final 5% is when you got to double and triple down, because that is going to be the last experience you have. And don't do it by a death by 1,000 cuts and keep coming back. Tackle that final 5%. Final 5% of the podcast is a little rapid fire. What do you love about working as a husband-wife team?
I mean, for us,
hang on. So the rapid fire, let me just preface this. Because sometimes I interview people. You guys wouldn't do this. You guys are professionals. Sometimes I interview people and I say rapid fire, and then I ask them a quick question and they pontificate for 10 minutes. So you're going to give me move quickly, don't rush. But
don't drag it on.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. I'm sorry. That was rude of me to even comment.
No, it's
cool
fine.
Socks, by the way, Danielle. Carry on.
I think for us, we just work really, really great together. We get to do everything together, and we don't have to. We get to do that. It's a conscious choice. We wake up together, we work out together, we do our morning routine together, we drop the kids off together, drive to work the day, come home, do dinner. It's cool. It's not for everybody, but for us, it works. It's cool. It works.
Danielle, what do you love about it, or what? Let's stay positive. What do you love about it?
Well, you would learn quickly that I am very positive about everything.
But so even better. So if you're going to go glass half empty approach to this, what's one of the challenges of working together?
That you have to learn how to communicate effectively, efficiently, and fast.
Wow. Yep. Boom. That was almost too rapid fire. That was amazing.
I told you.
What were the three again?
Effectively, efficiently, and fast.
Even just being aware of, we as a couple, whether you work together or whether it's just your spouse, we need to really focus on communicating well. Even just that thought, I think, changes the way that a relationship can go. Amazing.
And also, don't take offense to things. I've high ADHD, and she will call me up, be like, Michael, you need to get back on task. I used to take offense to that. Like, what are you talking about? I'm working. I'm just taking a break. Now it's like, babe, you got it. I'm back on, dialed in.
Amazing. What would you say is one of your biggest tips of financial improvement that you guys have had that other remodelers need to hear?
Markup matters.
Markup matters. There's a difference between markup and margin?
Yeah.
Yes. But you need to pay attention to what that is and what it needs to be.
Yes.
What would you say related to financials?
Same thing, honestly, is once we dialed in our markup and we knew that markup was delivering solid margins for us so we could be a profitable company, that was a game changer.
Yeah.
You know, and
numbers.
if you're in debt, I mean, we're a company, we're transparent. Like, yeah, we have some carryover debt that we're knocking out. Don't be scared of it.
Tackle it.
The easy thing to do is go and get a massive loan if you can, and then try it with a lower interest rate and then pay off that loan. Well, guess what? It's gonna take longer to do that.
Yeah.
So just try to dial it in, get some terms, work with your partners, your lenders on terms. It can happen. You will come out of it.
And it sounded like you guys made got an understanding of, all right, we need to update our pricing. We need to watch our job costing. And you went through a little phase where you started to take your numbers seriously.
Yes.
So that's good. What's your favorite page on your website?
Our portfolio.
Portfolio. Why?
Because you get to see all the pretty, beautiful spaces.
Oh, there we go. What are you most excited about in your business in 2025?
The evolution of where we're going. We went from a team of 9 down to a team of 3. We went from self-performing everything to subbing out and focusing strictly on general contracting, project management, interior design. And we have redefined this year. This is the first year where we really, really went into our goals and our tactics and what we're about. And as a team of 3 have embraced that. Doesn't matter what the opportunity is. If it doesn't ladder back to what our goals are, what our values are, we will not touch it. No matter how we could be dead in the water and have zero in the accounts. If it doesn't make sense, it doesn't make sense.
Love it. Love it. What's another goal that you have for this upcoming year?
Processes and procedures.
Processes and procedures. Which
SOPs,
give me an
baby.
example of one of them that you feel like you need to improve.
All of them.
So like maybe even the process of, all right, we've got the project signed. Now we're getting ready to start the project. That SOP for pre-construction.
I think it's more like actually having it written down.
Yeah.
Okay.
We have great processes and procedures. It's just a matter of they need to be documented. They need to be followed so that when we move from a team of 3 to a larger team, they actually know what they're doing, not just what's in the 3 of our heads.
Yeah. Smart growth, right? We don't want to. We always say we've built the house, now we're building the foundation. That's really how we feel like our company has been.
We had to lift up the house.
And we scaled back, we downsized, we cut overhead, but we know this is only sustainable for so long. Likely in the next 3 to 6 months, we will be hiring. We're prioritizing getting everything down on paper now so we have a solid onboarding. Where we failed in the past is that we did not set our team up for success.
That's a powerful statement,
Yeah.
right? I think you can either look at failure and go, yep, I'm a failure, or you use it as a springboard. Well, we built the house and we were stupid. We were so stupid. Why did we not do this? Okay, let's learn from that. Sometimes
learn, that's the key.
Yeah.
All failures are education. All success is education.
Yep.
You cannot run away from it. You can be upset let yourself be upset for a day. Then tomorrow go back to it and say, okay, where did we mess up?
Yep.
How did this happen? But more importantly, how can we make sure it doesn't happen again? What do we have to do to fix it? And it isn't just saying it. You actually have to do the work.
Yeah, I experienced this in the last 6 months of if you looked at one area of my business and said, all right, I've had that program. This program's going great. This program's going great. That one has a lot of turnover this past year. And I kind of showed it to my mastermind group. And I said, yeah, it's still working, but this and that. And one of the guys goes, ooh, that's failing. And I was like, oh, I wasn't looking at it like that. But now that you say that, you know what it is. It's not delivering the way I want it to. And what's been super interesting is because that was failing, the new iteration of it is so much stronger than anything I would have done before. And I think that's the key is your failure, you're going to springboard you forward. Couple of rapid fire. Should we be using ChatGPT?
100%. We use it for everything. Now, ChatGPT, start using it. Learn the prompts. You ask it questions like, Kyle, can you give me, can you describe my company based on what you know in 2 sentences? It will do that for you. Mm-hmm. So use it. Don't use it to write all of your emails back to clients and vendors. Use it as a springboard and then edit it from there. And again, for us, we have a strong website. We spent a lot of money, a lot of time on making sure that our tone is reflected correctly. ChatGPT knows Clark and Aldine now. Yeah. And what it delivers back to us is in our tone. We will refine it. I will always have last edit. Like in anything that we do, I have to have last edit because that's my background.
Yep.
But yes, use it to the best of your abilities to help fast track things and save time in your business.
Well, and the beauty is that if you're paying for a version of ChatGTP, you can now talk into GTP so that it's literally your voice going in and you're saying, hey, blah, 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 whatever you want to say, and then have it spit it back out to you in maybe a little bit more of an elegant way.
Yeah.
Or
We're down to 2 more questions. Second, you had something else you want to
Yeah,
say?
if we talked about social media and branding, have a hard time writing captions, throw it into ChatGPT.
Yeah.
Throw the image in there. There's ones that you can actually attach the image and it will write something for you.
Yep.
And it can do a lot of good heavy lifting for you.
Yep.
And help propel your business in the areas where you're not comfortable doing so, or it's just a time suck that you're like, I have to prioritize this, but this is back burner. Use it.
Love it. Should remodelers be on Pinterest?
oh my gosh, yes, yes, and yes.
You can give us your 60-second pitch on that.
Pinterest is the backbone to SEO. And my pitch on that is that Pinterest is another form of Google because people go there to purchase. People go there ready and knowing what they are going to search. And so you can use that to drive your SEO through the roof because you can have people coming on there hunting for something. They find you, then they click on your site, then it's like a whole propeller.
Those backlinks, all of that
Yes,
matters.
it's all like literally most of our referral traffic comes from Pinterest, and then that Pinterest drives us through the SEO. We don't pay for Google words,
Google AdWords.
or Google AdWords. We put our marketing dollars through Pinterest.
Cool.
Yep.
So that gets people thinking. And
And
also,
Pinterest, really quick, Pinterest is the 3rd largest search engine on the planet. You have Google, YouTube, Pinterest,
there you
in
go.
that order.
When you put together your Pinterest course, let me know and we'll promote it to the people.
Okay.
It's in the
Okay,
works.
there you go. Cool. And then to find out, did you guys have fun?
Yeah.
Oh, this is awesome.
Oh, good.
I love it.
Oh, good. Aaron, is this the greatest podcast recording you've ever been a part of? Yes. He's
Shout out Elevate Sound Studios.
already paid him. He doesn't have to say anything. You haven't sent me your invoice yet. Have you sent it? Okay, good. Just making sure. Sorry, I had to take care of some business there. If you were to finish this podcast with either reminding, hey, if you heard nothing else, like really, I would emphasize this for remodelers listening, or if there's something else that comes to mind of going, you know what, we talked about this and that, but here's one other kind of final thought. I'd like a final thought or reminder from each of you.
You want me to go? Me to go first?
Well, he's a gentleman. He's ladies first.
All right. If you haven't heard anything else or nothing sticking with you, just remember to stay true to who you are because that authenticity is what is going to drive you and your audience.
Love it.
The big thing that I want to share that we haven't really talked about is collaboration and community. We're in a market where we're not even 6 degrees away from somebody. We're like 2 degrees away from somebody, right? Reach out to fellow professionals in your industry. Reach out to fellow builders and remodelers. Some of my most dearest relationships that I hold now are with quote unquote competitors in the industry, but there's plenty of work to go around. We're not in the same market, right? And we can learn from each other. I mean, we've spent a lot of money on contracts, on templates, on just learning in general. We're open to share. Everyone we know is open to share. Our goal is to make this industry better. We didn't come into it to make money. This wouldn't be the first choice for that.
Let's make a little money.
We'll make a little money.
I know we've been told that
make a lot of
we
money.
need to work on that.
Yeah, make money. But we want to make the industry better. Everybody in it should want to leave a place where you're at better than how you found it. That's a value of ours. We still it in our kids. Just reach out, collaborate. Find us on Instagram. Reach out. We're an open book. We'd love to meet and talk with you. And all your fellow individuals in the remodeling and builder space, reach out to them too.
Awesome.
Reach out to Kyle. Like, he's great.
Just great. Is there
Wonderful.
no other
Great,
Ooh,
grand, wonderful. The best.
And Danielle, what would you say?
Elite.
What words come to your mind?
Fabulous.
Oh, fabulous. Oh, if that's not a good way to end this, I don't know what is. Thank you very much.
Thank
It's
you.
a pleasure.
Absolutely.
Always.
See ya.